roll call. Start off with Mr. Clemens.
Present.
Ms. Pearson.
Present.
Ms. Thompson. Ms. Thompson not present. And Mr. Bayonne.
Present.
Mr. Bayonne, I'm sorry, am I pronouncing your last name right?
Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, so we will declare a quorum at this time. Looks like the first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on January 31st.
I motion to approve the minutes.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and vote on it. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
And Mr. Bayonne?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion carries. And the next item looks like it's an information item from Dr. Anderson. Go ahead and hand it over to you for the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nimick. The report on the following pages, I would like to, as always, which is standard procedure in our board meetings, to share with the board our enrollment numbers and other updates of information that I feel is prevalent to the board as we operate the district in the best interest of the district. So the current enrollment as of March 19th is at 1473. We have about 158 applications in progress. However, we're waiting for the parents to complete those applications. Calls are being made, emails being sent, reaching out to those parents to try and get them to complete the process so that we can get the student in a seat. And then there's also 32 pending registrar accepting the applications, whatever may be missing or another. And then the counselor entering the start date, we have 6 students, which we're working to get those out of the queue and get them in a seat. And then we have pre-enrolled. Again, we have students that have applied, that have been accepted, that have a schedule, and they just have not shown up to the campus for whatever reason that may be. A lot of the times, they have applied at our competition and they may be on a waiting list. That's what I've discovered as I've traveled the state. They may be on a waiting list, and before by the time we get them completed and on board, they have been called from the other school's waiting list to come enroll. So potential enrollment could be 1719 if all of these pieces fell in place and came to fruition. Our ADA is at 75.9%, which is up from the last board meeting at 75.3%. So 0.6% improvement. And the student retention is at 60.3%, down from the 65.4% as of the last board meeting. And if you look compared to last year, this time, we are down from January 17th when I last reported, but our enrollment is a little bit higher by 4 students than it was at the same time last year. So the trend tends to be about the same, following the same pattern as it did last year, enrollment-wise. And as always, the district continues to monitor the budget. As you know, as a board, we've come to you all with cuts that to try and address these things. And so we continue to monitor it. The budget was built on an enrollment of 1680 with an average daily attendance of 79%. And so because it's not hitting those target goals, we have made cuts, and we have tried to scale back on spending. Some of those things have been to put a freeze on hiring, to cut the travel. Our academic team does a lot of travel, and so to kind of slow that onto an as-need basis. And then there have been some rifts that have taken place. Questions about those items? Jennifer, bring it on down, please. You move the page for me.
You get unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
I'm
now,
sorry.
Mr. Clemens.
I'm sorry, I didn't have a question, but rather a comment. I believe on this report that it would be good to add one other piece of data.
Mhm.
When we look at this, and maybe we misinterpret when we look or don't have the full picture, but I think we should add the current ADA to this. I know that when I look at the current ADA that Tammy distributes, that our current ADA now is, I don't have that in front of me, but I think it's a little bit over 1,100.
Yes. So
And so I think if that were added to this, and then also add with that our budget is built on 75% of whatever of certain number. What is that ADA number that we built it on, so we can each meeting see where
Well,
where
it
we are.
is, Mr. Clemens. It says there the 2024-2025 budget is built on a student enrollment of 1,680 with an average daily attendance of 1,327 at 79%.
So
it's based on
it's built on
1,327. Yes.
Okay, and if we have with it that we're right now at 1110 or whatever it is.
1132, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start putting it in when I put up here, the ADA is at 75.9. I'll just start putting the number that equates to right next to it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. As far as vacant positions go, as you can see, we have our Midland campus is minus a principal, which I will talk about later. And then 2 counselors, 3 SCLs, and 2 associate teachers. And so as you can see, 4 campuses are at 100% down by 1 from the previous meeting. 1 campus is at 90%, 3 at 80%, and 1 at 70%. Fully capacities as far as staff capacity. And then, as always, the average teacher experience, as far as certification, it's up. The number of certified teachers is actually up from the last report. It's at 53%. The last report was, I believe it was 51% of our staff was certified. And so there has been a 2% increase in the number of staff that is certified. And so as you can see by campus, how the non-certified staff looks compared to the certified by campus there. Then as far as additional updates, I did want to talk about President Trump's executive order that was signed on March 20th of this year, directing the Secretary of Education to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education. This is being monitored. I've been on calls with the commissioner. I've been on calls with the charter division. We've been on calls with Dr. C and his group, and there's not much out there right now. I do know that the proposal is to send the student loan piece back to the SBA and basically return the other functions to the state. Now, what I have heard is that basically it would be uninterrupted if they're trying to do it in a way that doesn't interrupt funding for Title I or school improve any of those federal monies that we get. So they're trying to make sure that there is no disruption or slow down in receiving those funds. Also, the accountability piece has been discussed a little bit. Basically, you know, there's the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is the national piece that looks at, the math and the graduation rates and those types of things. And, you know, you can make state accountability, but not get federal accountability, and then you have to do an intervention plan. So those things are up in the air, how those will all be handled. So one superintendent said that they didn't think that the federal accountability would go away. They think that it would just transition to the state to monitor that. Because again, you still got to remember federal funds have to come to the state. So, you know, I'm sure Congress will want some type of, strings attached to that. So, but no one really has anything. We were on the call with the commissioner yesterday from TEA, and we thought he would say something about this business, but he did not talk about it at all. So, if anybody would know, it would be him. And so he had no insight on this. He didn't even bring it up. Okay. I did want to share with you the TPCSA priority bills, which you can see there. All of these bills that dealt with clarity and parity, the TRS, if you recall, I talked about the TRS, where charters were paying a little bit more into TRS. The employer was paying a little bit more into TRS than the traditional ISDs. And so they're trying to correct that. There's a big push for facility funding. Some of you, all of you all should have received an email from me. I was sending it went to the RMA email, but it was a petition that TPCSA had sent to us asking us to sign on to try and help get better facility funding for charter schools. And so those bills, there's a House version there, which is by Chairman Buckley. If you don't know, Brad Buckley is a big advocate of RMA. He is the House representative that came to Killeen and was very impressed by the work that we were doing. And so he's a big fan of RMA. And so there is a bill by him that to help improve facility funding, and he's also the chair of the Education Committee for the state legislature. So, and then there's also one by Paxton in the Senate to help with facility funding. So those are really those things. Now, I did want to talk about some things that, as far as school funding, there is currently a bill, House Bill 1481, which was introduced by the representative out of Amarillo, and basically, it would ban cell phones. You know, that's one of the big things. Now, we currently take up cell phones when the kids come into our building. So, but it would basically ban them during the regular school day. And it appears that a majority of the House is in support of it, bipartisan. So this bill actually has bipartisan support in the House. I don't know how it will go in the Senate, but the House has bipartisan support, which means it more than likely will go out of the House and over to the Senate. Whether they take it up or not, who knows? Then there's also House Bill number 2, which basically the Republicans in the House have promoted. It would put in $9 billion into education. And so for school funding. So they're saying we want to give this bucket of money of $9 billion. But there are several things tied to it, such as teacher pay raises and some other things of that. But however, the advocates are saying it still falls short because of inflation and rising costs. And so I just put that piece in there so that you would know, it would have $2 billion for special ed teachers, as well as pay raises and staff support. So that's House Bill 2. And then the next bill is House Bill 4, I believe. Can you scroll down, please? Okay, thank you. House Bill 4 basically would do away with the STAR test as we know it, and it basically tightened accountability standards used to rank schools in district performance. So as you're aware, there was some debate in the last legislative session about doing away with the STAR test and just using things like giving districts several instruments that they could utilize to monitor student progress and performance, such as an SAT, an ACT, and or a district aligned test, or they would come up with something else. But they just wanted to have opportunities through various instruments to be able to assess students other than just one state standardized test. So how that looks, I don't know. I do know that there's also legislation in the legislative body that would prevent schools from using public funds to sue the commissioner for this big lawsuit on the STAR test. If you recall, there's been this whole on the accountability manual and moving the chain, and so that's why they haven't released the STAR results. But there's a legislator that has proposed a bill that would basically ban districts from using public funds to bring lawsuits against the commissioner as far as accountability and things of that nature. Who knows how that'll work? And then there was an article that I wanted to share last but not least about the school enrollment declines and budget adjustments. And basically, some school districts are a lot of school districts are experiencing a declining student enrollment, which reduces the amount of state funding that they receive. And so there is some legislation and some discussion that's going on, that districts still have the same cost. One of the hardest things to do is adjust your staff in the middle of a year because your enrollment is down or less than what you anticipate at the beginning of the year. And so there's fixed costs, to run a building, the rent or the mortgage is going to remain the same. And so as you can see there, House Bill 2 basically would help with that, and it's a bill that proposes to have a funding safeguard. It basically has a 95% funding floor, meaning that a district's funding cannot decrease by more than 5% per year due to enrollment declines. And he added that districts still need to right size their budget, but the provision of the bill is capped at 50 million. So so there would be some caps as to how much, but it's basically a bill that would put a safeguard in place that says, hey, we understand that your enrollment may have declined, but we're still going to support you at this level this year. And then next year it may adjust accordingly. So you would still have to make adjustments the next year over. So those are the bills that are pertinent and that's hot, that's going on in the legislative body right now. As you know, it's coming to an end in May. So hopefully some of these bills will get out. Some will, some won't. So it's just a matter. But I do know that there will be some kind of resolution to school finance in this legislative body. Questions? And I believe that concludes my superintendent report for this meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I noticed that I forgot to check if there were any public comments. Jennifer, have there been any public comments?
We did not have any public comments, Mr. Remick.
Okay, thanks. The next informational item is Ms. Padilla on the year-to-date financials.
Good morning. My presentation starts on page 22, where I've summarized some of the current information. But looking at that first chart on page 23, this is the enrollment data that we see by month. As of this report, the highest day in February was 1,465 students. I just wanted to add to the comment that Mr. Clements made. sometimes Dr. Anderson's information is more current. He gets his information in real time. We're looking at the financial data from a month behind. So if you see a little discrepancy slightly in the enrollment or the ADA, it's just the timing of what we're reporting. So this is as of February, where we're looking at average student enrollment. And on the following page is ADA. So for the month of February, we were at 74%, slightly less than this time last year. And also last time we talked, as we just indicated, the budget was set at 79% ADA. So we're slightly under that target as well. And on page 25, this chart represents foundation school payment revenue that is received versus what we budgeted for. So you could see there we budgeted 15.4 million, and we are currently at 14.1 million. And on the following page, this is our days cash on hand. To arrive at this number, we break down annual expenses into a daily amount, and then we divide that by the cash balance that we have at the end of every month. So as you could see from this chart, we have 90 days for the month of February. So if operations were to cease today, we would continue to pay current expenses for a total of 90 days. We have been using some of our cash balance to fund. We used it to fund the Midland campus, the Houston move, and also the Amarillo and Fort Worth projects that are going on. So that's why the balance is lower than previous years. On page 27, through the month of February, we have $11.39 million in expenses and 11.52 in revenue. So we're cutting that gap down as we go further into the year. And on the following page 28, we're looking at our administrative cost ratio. For year 5, this is comparing function 21 and 41, which are considered our mostly our administrative costs, and we're comparing that going forward to overall district costs. Here we would score 6 out of 10 points with currently where we are as of today. And on the next page is our estimated charter first rating. If we stopped everything today, we would score an above standard, which is 84 points. As I just indicated, we are losing some administrative cost ratio points. We're losing points on budgeted revenue to actual revenue. And we're also losing a little bit on our debt service ratio. And the following page is our income statement. If you could see there at the bottom, we are recording a $65,000 loss for the month of February. So if you remember from a couple months back, we had a little over 400,000. So we are chipping away at that. We are 67% through the fiscal year, and our overall expenditures show that we are slightly below where we expect to be at 62% for the district. Our revenues, since we only record revenues for 10 months out of 12, they are a little bit lower than we would expect to see. Hopefully, we were shooting for around $11 million this time of the year, but keeping our expenses in check has really helped align the income statement and minimize our loss. As of the February financials, we have accrued revenue for 124 out of our 180 state.
Tammy,
Yes.
if I may. And now that number, that 65,000 number, doesn't capture the RIF that we had, correct? It'll show up in next month or throughout the rest of
Right. The last RIF that we have, they were paid through March. Up until spring break, so we haven't fully recognized that at this point.
which should come in about 200,000 to 300,000.
Yeah, we should see the benefits of that. Hopefully a little in March, not so much, but in April, we should definitely see a change there.
Thank you.
All other things remaining constant. Looking looking at this income statement, function 21, 23, and 41 are slightly higher, which is our administrative costs, as we talked about earlier. This is mostly due to increased payroll expenditures, in some cases due to turnover. You can't predict what the new staff will be on a scale. So that leads to a little bit of a discrepancy in those functions. And sometimes there were some things in the budget that we just didn't know about at the beginning of the year. Function 61 on here is higher than we would expect to see because there were a couple items, Mr. Fred Brown and also Volun Texas, that we didn't include in the budget. So as you can see, we are vastly approaching the limit there. So we'll be discussing later on in the meeting today a functional amendment so that we can capture those costs and continue to record those expenditures as an amendment to the original budget. If we look at February of 2024, the deficit for this time was 99,000. So we have made a slight improvement from that time. And the next page 31 is our balance sheet. This reflects assets and liabilities, and our net assets at the very bottom of the page, if you get, is 15.1 million. This number, if you break it out into expenditures, it represents 356 days of current operating expenditures where we currently are. And page 32 is the summary of finance, which is dated February the 10th. This report reflects the 6 weeks attendance period for cycle 3, which is from November 4th to December 19th. Are there any questions on the financials? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We'll get started with the facilities update. We'll bring you up to date on some of the items that we're working on as far as facilities goes since the last board meeting. We'll go to the next slide, please. So in Amarillo, our current lease expires on 6/30/2025. We have been negotiating an additional 3 years of leases with 1 year with 2 additional 1-year leases coming up. And later on in the presentation, we'll be presenting to you two items. One is the lease extension for 12 months for the Amarillo location with 2 extensions to follow that. And then also we will be presenting to you a resolution to refinance our current loan with Frost Bank so that we can take advantage of some lower interest rates and until we decide what to do with that property. So if you want to go to the next slide. And these are the terms that we'll be looking at for the new lease. It's kind of a standard 2% annual increase in Amarillo. This is actually going to increase our monthly payment to $11,106.27 for the first year. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And then this is the terms that we will be looking at for Frost Bank to refinance our current interest-only loan to a interest and principal loan, which will carry us for the next 5 years with a 25-year amortization at 6.74%. Go ahead to the next slide. And just some photos of our property that we had purchased in Amarillo. We'll go ahead and scroll through those real quick. I just put those in as a reminder. And we'll go down to Fort Worth. So in Fort Worth, very similar situation. Our lease expires in Fort Worth on 8/31/2025, and we've been negotiating an extension. Once again, we're asking for a 1-year extension with 2 1-year extensions available to us after that. Once again, those are all based on a 2% increase. And we will also be refinancing our our interest only lease for this property with a principal and interest loan so that we can move this property forward. So go ahead to the next slide. So in Fort Worth, our lease actually will increase to $16,117 per month, which is a 2% increase. And then go to the next slide. We'll also be asking the board to approve the loan refinance. Once again, it's a 5-year note with a 25-year amortization based on 6.74%. And we'll go to the next slide. In Houston, once again, we've closed out our lease off of Airtex Drive. We've moved into our new facility on 500 Century Plaza. The construction is complete there. We've had some difficulties with the fire marshal at this location. We're currently working off of a temporary certificate of occupancy. We had an inspection this past Wednesday where the fire marshal declined us the permanent certificate of occupancy based on our evacuation maps in each of our classrooms. Those maps were approved during her last 2 visits, but this time she seemed to have an issue with them. So on April the 10th, we'll be changing those maps out and having one more hopefully final inspection with the fire marshal in Houston.
Yes.
Carl, I
Yes.
believe Mr. Clemens has a comment.
Yes, Mr. Clemens.
Oh, you're muted, Mr. Clemens.
No, go ahead. I'll hold my comment for a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. So in Houston, as we said, we're still working on getting that COO. Moving on to Midland. In Midland, our current lease there expires on 5/31/2025. As part of our original lease with them, we had negotiated 3 3-year extensions, and so RMA has decided to exercise the first of 3 3-year options, and that has been signed and executed, and it's just an extension of our current lease. And we'll go to the next. In San Antonio, due to some budget constraints, we're proposing that we close our office in San Antonio. The lease there expires on 6/30/2025, and we have an option to extend for 1 year at $2,135. However, we would like to not extend that lease and save ourselves about $25,600 on that location. And we do have to give them a 90-day notice. So by April 1st, we will have to let them know that we're not going to extend that lease.
And when we originally got that location, it was so that we'd have a place to register with TEA as our headquarters. However, I believe that the use of that building is very minimal. There are some people that will meet there, and one of the benefits of having that was those conference rooms, like when we met downtown Fort Worth at the board meeting, we get that benefit. But for $2,000 a month, I don't know that we get our money's worth out of it. And so we would propose to make the Fort Worth campus the registered TEA location to get mail and everything, and then have it, Jennifer would be the one responsible for disseminating that, picking it up and getting it out to wherever it needed to go.
So would our staff just work from home? Or San Antonio staff?
Say again?
Would our San Antonio staff just work from home?
That's
Or
where they've
remotely?
been working from. We've just had that building just for to say this is our office
Address.
For TEA.
Okay.
I did have a question for Carl. I was waiting till he got through.
Yes.
The Midland location, that's a 3-year lease, and have we already extended, or is it ready to extend? Or
So we have already extended it as part of our original lease with Midland. We had negotiated 3-year extensions, and we have finished the first 3 years of our lease. Will be finished. Let's see, Jennifer, can you go back to the Midland? I think it's back one. Yes. So that one will end on 5/31/25. And so we are just going ahead and extending our current lease for another 3 years. And we have up to 3 of these 3-year options available to us.
and is this the location that's in the Alamo Heights Baptist Church
Yes, it is.
that we at least originally had intended to buy that location, and for whatever that didn't take place, and it appeared that the lease has been a better option for us as far as cost and purchase. Am I right on all that?
Yes, that
Close.
is correct. Our lease for Midland is very reasonable. We pay about $10,000 a month. I think it goes up to $11,000 which is only like oh my goodness, I'll have to get you the exact numbers.
No, I don't need that. I just wanted the board to kind of hold this information in their short-term memory bank, and somewhere later in the meeting, I think this may be something we talk about again. Thanks.
Okay, you bet. And that's it. Any other questions or concerns with facilities?
Okay, thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Having heard no further comments or questions for Carl, we'll move on to the next action item, which is board approval ratification of district contracts. Dr. Anderson.
All right, we don't have too many today. We just have 2 ratifications: the San Jacinto College a contract for the graduation ceremony, which was in the amount of $342. I think, Jennifer, we have the request wrong because Ms. King's not in Pasadena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I just saw that. That is from
Yes.
Dr. Megan Booth.
Future, yes.
Yes.
And then the other one is for the Wagner Knoll in Odessa and Midland's graduation venue for their graduation. So we've approved those 2 and signed those, and we asked the board to ratify those at this time.
Okay, do we have a motion? I'll make the motion. I move the board to approve the contracts listed in Exhibit 1 and ratify the contracts listed in Exhibit 2. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. We'll take a vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Bayonne.
Yes.
And I also vote yes, the action item passes, and looks like that's all that we have for that action item. Next is on page 81. It looks like this is the adoption of the updated RMA Board Policy Series Module 1 Governance. And again, Dr. Anderson.
We met, Mr. Nemick and Mr. Clemens and I and Jennifer, we met to discuss the Module 1 governance policy, and the committee is recommending that it be approved. However, there was some discussion about the boundary piece. And so one of the biggest part of this policy, the change to this policy, because there were hardly any real substantial changes to the policy from the previous approved policy. Some things were moved around and renumbered, which you can see. But the big discussion was about the boundaries that we have, because we don't have open boundaries, but Chapter 100 changed that and said that charter schools no longer have to apply to provide service to other areas. You can just do open boundaries and take kids from any school district in that surrounding area. And so we had a discussion on that. And Jennifer, if you could pull up Carl's document.
Yes, give me 1 second. I'll pull it up for you.
The board policy committee had discussed, and we wanted to know the number of students from the districts that we from the various districts around, and we came to conclude that there are some districts that we could just add. Mr. Clemens had a good point. He said, I don't see that we would have kids coming to us from 50 miles away, to come to school at RMA. And so one of the discussions was maybe we just need to look at adding some districts, or expanding our district boundaries to cover some more districts. And so we went through and we looked to see which ISDs that we may not have been serving that was in close proximity. And so that was for Killeen, Florence ISD, and Salado ISD. And then down in Lubbock, we had Ropes ISD and Wilson's ISD. And in Houston, we felt that everything around that area was pretty sufficient. And then Burleson ISD. And Carl, I'll let you kind of chime in to give some more insight.
So with the state of Texas has, as Dr. Anderson had said, has done away with geographic boundaries. And so if we at RMA decide that we would like to maintain geographic boundaries for our district, that's totally a LEA local education agency decision. So that would be up to us. We provided Dr. Anderson with a list of our current approved geographic boundary ISDs, as well as a list of ISDs that we might like to add to this. During our research, we also identified approximately 6 kids if we decided to not do open boundaries that we would have to, that would lose a seat in our organization. And so it would only affect up to 6 kids that we've identified at this point. So with that said, does the board have any questions regarding?
Yeah. So, Ms. Clemens, you're muted. You're still muted.
All right, there I go. Also, we discussed, I think the attorneys perhaps pointed out that if we go to no boundaries, that conceivably we could have a high-cost special ed student sent to us from a long way off. And that sounds a little bit far-fetched, but open enrollment charter school, whatever is our boundary, we're obligated to take the kids if they show up. I don't think we can do like these private schools that are about to get a huge chunk of our state money. We can just say they're not suitable for our school and not take them. We can't do that. So if we make our boundaries unlimited, then we take what comes. So that was part of my reason for addressing the districts that we cover now. We had a audit several years ago, and we found that we had a number of kids who were like, now we have 6 who might be out of attendance zone. Anyway, just to check our attendance zones and make sure that we're covering where our kids are coming from. So that was my logic on the approach that I think we're talking about.
Yeah. My question would be, would the efforts be fruitful in trying to recruit 6 kids? And not only that, but thinking about them being so far away, how would that affect their attendance or their longevity within RMA? And is there, would that make sense for us to even put in that effort and time and making sure that we are now recruiting 6 kids versus focusing on obtaining and recruiting within the current districts that we have?
So I think the 6 kids that we're talking to are from the Pasadena location, and if we add the additional districts, they would be covered and they would be able to remain in our district. And we do have RMA as a whole covers a lot of ISDs across the state of Texas, and so I would say that even if someone from Lubbock ISD wanted to attend a Pasadena school, I mean, they're still on our list of geographic boundaries, so they would still have that option if we chose to go with geographic boundaries.
And I would throw another caveat in there that Ms. Pearson brings up. Sometimes a probation officer may tell a student, you need to get enrolled in a school. And if that student lives 60 miles away and enrolls with us, like Ms. Pearson saying, attendance may very well be the issue. But just to get the probation officer off of my back, I'm going to just, I can go to this school. So we do look at, I think attendance plays a part in that. So it's my recommendation to the board that we just add these boundaries that are listed here. And the other thing, and Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have to apply anymore to expand our boundaries like that. We just have to have a resolution, Jennifer? Is that correct?
It's a resolution.
Yes, a board resolution. So it's not contingent upon TEA approving these like it used to be. It's now the board we would bring back a resolution at the next board meeting to add these boundaries to our list.
I agree with that. So anything I said you can construe as disagreeing with that. That's exactly my recommendation also.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we entertain a motion?
And then there was the other thing, Jennifer, what was the option 1 and option 2 that was that addressed in its entirety?
Yes, option 1 was the boundaries as they are. Option 2 was the open boundaries.
Okay. All right. So then that was so we didn't have any other obligation. So yes, Mr. Nemick, we can.
Yes.
Unless the board has other questions about like I say, the other changes were pretty much just renumbering things and moving things around.
And as for today's action item, it's really just approving what you had just mentioned, moving the numbers around, et cetera. As for adding the new ISDs, that would be a resolution for the next board meeting. Is that right?
Yes, but we will go with option 1. We have the policy finalized because it'll be option 1, which is to keep the boundaries. And so we'll just come back next board meeting and expand the boundaries, which the policy would still be in compliance.
I move that we accept the policy as amended and presented today.
And I'll second the motion since I was on the committee. So having a motion and a second, we'll take a vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
and Mr. Bayonne.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The action item carries. And that's all we have for that one. Looks like the next one's on page 244. And another action item, Dr. Givens, this is approval to ratify and submit the 25-26 instruction materials allotment and text certification form. Dr. Givens?
Yes, we're asking that the board ratify that for the 25-26 school year that our curriculum is aligned with TEA requirements and that all of our courses cover 100% of the TEKS, and also that we are in compliance with the with the Children's Internet Protection Act, and we are.
Any questions or comments?
Sorry.
We'll entertain a motion at this time.
Can you scroll down to the motion? Trying to find it myself.
I believe it's page 244. There you go.
I move that the 2025-26 TEAC certification form be ratified and submitted to TEA.
A second.
Having a motion and second, we'll entertain a vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Bayonne,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Action item carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Givens. Looks like the next is page 270. Another action item. Jim, this is presentation and approval of the campus turnaround plans.
Yes, sir. Good
Mr.
morning.
Yes.
So this is presentation of our turnaround plans, and although RMA made significant improvements in its accountability performance for the 2024 school year, all RMA campuses are identified for continued comprehensive support and improvement because none of the campuses achieved a 6-year federal graduation rate of 66.7% or higher, which is the standard for the 6-year. And the federal graduation rate, just as a reminder, is unlike our alternative state accountability rate because it does not include the continuers, the GED recipients, and the dropouts in the numerator. And so with that said, all campuses developed a 2-year targeted improvement plan to improve their graduation rates, and these plans were reviewed by the board and approved in January. And now to expand on those plans, and to strengthen the core educational practices, campuses have developed their turnaround plan. And in this plan, each campus defines milestones and monitoring efforts that they're going to implement over the next 2 years to implement the selected strategy for improving RMA's graduation. And so with that, unless there's questions, it's requested that the board approve the turnaround plans as presented for each one of our RMA campuses.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
I move the board approve the campus turnaround plans as presented for the 2024-25 and 25-26 school years.
I'll second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Clemens. We have a motion and a second. Take a vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Bayonne?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Action carries. Thank you. Looks like the next action item is on page 302. And This is Ms. White about the approval of Memorandum of Understanding of Texas Child Health Access through telemedicine. Ms. White?
Good morning, everyone. I would like to tell you about TChat. It's a program that's used, a Texas mental health program. Ms. Ortiz, will we be sharing screens today?
Yes,
There they go. Thank you so much.
there it is. Yes.
So TChat is the mental health program that is offered through the state of Texas in collaboration with 5 different service areas. Most students in the state of Texas at this point in time are using this TChat mechanism in order to receive some mental health services. The numbers that are included here, there are this many students being serviced across the state. At this time, 915 school districts are using TChat, along with 7,000 campuses being enrolled. And 75% is a total proportion of student lives covered by TChat. They're doing the mental health evaluations via technology. They have a high satisfaction rate. And 88% of the families report that TChat is doing great services for their students, which leads to a big number of 4 million students, over 4 million students being serviced by TChat. Next slide, in the state of Texas. So TChat is a free service. It's free, which is a really operative word here, paid for by the state and does not require any insurance. They offer virtual and targeted mental health care with licensed clinicians across the state. TChat's core mission is to assess, treat, and refer Texas students to appropriate mental health services. And we're really excited to be in collaboration and working with them. They will assess students that have been referred to them. They will give additional resources to families who may not have insurance and make sure that care is provided under the TChat programming. Next slide. What they do, what TChat actually offers, is they do an assessment of students that are referred to them, give them a brief intervention if necessary, and coordinate care in the community, and also offer it up to, in some instances, for meetings over the phone with the student. Next slide. We would like to finalize our last campus being under an MOU with TChat. The other catchments, they've already been set up. The last one to be added, and that would make all of our campuses have a collaboration with TChat to be involved with them and get the services. And we're requesting that this MOU be signed and reviewed by the board today. Any questions?
I will say this is very exciting opportunity for the district, and I appreciate Ms. White's work on getting this in place with
Absolutely.
the district.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The mental health of these students is so important. I think this sounds like a great program.
Yes, very fantastic.
Thank you.
Open to a motion at this time.
I move the board approve the memorandum of understanding of Texas Child Health Access through telemedicine to allow RMA students access to see a licensed therapist or psychiatrist through a secure video chat.
I second.
Having a
This is
motion
great.
and second, we will vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Baum,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So the action carries. Thank you for your time, Ms. White.
Thank you.
Looks like the next action item is on page 322. And we've
No.
got Tammy. Is that right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Tammy, on the review and approval of financial amendment for the 2025 budget.
Thank you. I've prepared a budget amendment for your review today. This is not the final amendment for the fiscal year 24-25. However, I brought this to you today because Function 61 is at capacity for allowable spending. Function Function 61 is labeled Community Services, and this code is used to capture expenditures for activities other than regular public education. Specifically, the relative costs at RMA for this function is for the consulting fees for Volun Texas and also for Mr. Fred Brown, who has provided consulting to the district. These items were not included in the initial RMA budget, and we are asking for those additional amounts today. On this page, you can see I've projected an additional $27,000 down there at the bottom under Community Services to be approved today. And since I had to bring this to you today, I thought that I would also include 3 additional revenue items at the top, highlighted in yellow as well, that were also not included in the original budget. The first one is being a local revenue of $7,800 for the year from the Fort Worth Woodway Drive location. There is a tenant in there that was in there when we purchased the building, and they're paying us $600 a month to use that facility. So that revenue is shown there. And then right below that is TRS on behalf revenue. This is a new requirement from the Texas Education Agency. It is really for reporting purposes only. There is a 0 net cash effect of this revenue and expense reporting. And TEA defines this as this code used to classify revenues from matching teacher retirement paid for active members of our charter school. A charter school contributes matching funds for personnel funded from federal sources, and if applicable, statutory minimum funds for qualifying personnel. The charter school also provides certain employer contributions for the retired teachers' health insurance plans, that's TRS Care, and the state provides all other matching funds on behalf of the members. That is the amount that TEA is asking us to record with this TRS on behalf payment. The amount that the state provides in excess of what RMA is providing is what is being recorded here. An equal expenditure amount should also be recorded using Object Code 6144, TRS on behalf payments for the expenditures. So it's a little definition of why TEA asked us to start recording that last year. We did not have that information prior to the board approving the budget for 24-25, so I went ahead and included that today. And that last little amount under it, the $600, is for revenues for the school breakfast program. This amount is a 30-cent allocation that is being provided from the state of Texas for all reduced meal qualifications that we are recording this year. So those are the 4 items that you can see highlighted in yellow that I have reviewed, and I'm asking the board for approval today.
Thank you, Tammy. Any questions or comments? Okay, having heard none, we would entertain a motion at this time.
Move that we accept the budget amendment as presented.
I'll second the motion. With a motion and second, we'll take a vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Bayard?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Action item carries. Thank you, Tammy. Looks like the next one is Carl again. This is consideration of and possible action regarding selection of stall. I'm not going to go through all of this. New legal counsel. Carl, I'll let you take it over.
Yes. So the administration will be presenting to the board with the selection of legal counsel proposal for the firm of Stahl, Sewell, Chavara, Friend, and Cohen LLP. The administration will also request the delegation of authority for the superintendent or his designee in the negotiations and execution of agreement. So Kate Davey, who has been our financial attorney for quite some time, was previously with the firm of Graves Doherty. She has moved to this new firm, Graves Doherty, who was our previous legal counsel for financial services, did not have anyone that could pick up that work. So we're asking the board to approve the move to Kate's new firm of Stool, Seville, Chavaria, Friend, and Cohen. And so with that, recommendation is to request that the board consider and approve the selection of legal counsel to assist in the RMA projects.
I move that we accept the recommendations as stated in the board document on the screen. I'm not going to read all of that. It's too small to print.
I'll second the motion. Having a motion and a second, we will take a vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Bayon,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So the action item carries. Thank you, Carl. Move on to the next item is on the next page, 325.
And this is the administration will be presenting to the board with the proposed lease amendment for the Amarillo campus located at 4106 Southwest 51st Street in Amarillo, Texas. The administration will also request the delegation of authority for the superintendent or his designee to negotiate an execution of the agreement. This is the lease extension for 1 year for our Amarillo project that we covered earlier in the facilities update. So with that said, we request that the board consider and approve the proposed lease amendment for the Amarillo campus.
I move that we approve the lease amendment as presented for a 1 year extension with a 2 year option. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bayon. With a motion and a second, we will take a vote. Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Bayon,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Unanimously, the action item carries. Thank you again, Carl. Next item is on page 331.
And just as we were just finished with the Amarillo location, we also need to extend our lease in Fort Worth. And so the administration will be presenting to the board with a proposed lease amendment for the Fort Worth location located at 6785 Camp Bowie Boulevard, 200 Fort Worth, Texas. The administration will also request the delegation of authority to the superintendent or his designee to negotiate the execution of this agreement. With that, the board requests, we request that the board consider and approve the proposed lease amendment for the Fort Worth campus.
Okay, thank you. Unless there's any comment or question for Carl, I will entertain a motion. I will move to extend the lease at 6785 Camp Bowie Boulevard, number 200, Fort Worth, Texas, to August 31st, 2026, under the terms and conditions outlined in the proposed 7th Amendment that provides for such extension. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens. We'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Bayon?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that action item also carries. Looks like the next item is on page 331. And
so, as mentioned earlier in the facilities update, we need to refinance our our new Fort Worth our new Amarillo properties, from a interest-only loan to a principal and interest loan. To move this forward, the administration will be requesting that the board approve a resolution refinancing the loan related to the educational facilities construction for the Amarillo campus. Administration will also request the delegation of authority for the superintendent designee to work on the negotiations and execution of relevant documents. So with that, we request that the board consider and approve the proposed resolution for refinancing of loans related to the educational facilities at the Amarillo campus.
Any
Carl,
questions or comments? Go ahead, Mr. Clemens.
I have a question.
Yes.
This loan and the next loan that we'll have at the Fort Worth location, both, they're for 5 years, or is that?
It's a 5-year note with a 25-year amortization.
Okay.
Currently, we're at an 8% interest rate on the interest only, and it will drop it to a 6.74, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And do we have an option to pay this loan off early if we choose to? I ask that in case we have some drop back to 2% interest rates or something. Are we locked into this for 5 years, or?
For Amarillo, we are not. There are no penalties or, for paying it off earlier. In Fort Worth, there is some. However, Ryan at Frost Bank tells me that if we decide to get rid of the property or move forward with construction or refinance, that Frost Bank, if we did it with Frost Bank, they would be happy to drop those.
Okay. I just, the financial world right now, the interest rates could go up or they could go down quickly. So just wanted to ask. I'm in favor of both of these. So move that we accept the Amarillo presentation contract.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Bayon. With a vote and a second, we will take a vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Bayon?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Action item carries. Thanks, Carl. And one more for you, Carl. Similar action item for the Fort Worth issues.
Let's see. Are we on that page?
We
Looks
are.
like we're
Yes.
already on that
Okay,
page.
I'm sorry. So very similar to the previous resolution, we're asking that the board approve a resolution to refinance our current interest-only loan in Fort Worth to a principal and interest loan. Once again, it's a 5-year note with a 25-year amortization, reducing the interest rate from 8% down to 6.74. And so the administration requests that the board consider and approve a proposed resolution for refinancing the loans related to the educational facilities in Fort Worth.
Thank you, Carl. I'll go ahead and make the motion. I move that the board approve the proposed resolution of the Board of Directors of RMA approving refinancing of loans related to the educational facilities, construction and renovation at the Fort Worth campus, and the extension or execution and delivery of certain documents related thereto and containing other matters related thereto, which includes all the delegation of authority as set out therein in greater detail. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Go ahead and take a vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Ms. Pearson, you're on mute.
Yes.
There we go. And Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Action item carries. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, board.
All right, it's now 11:15, and the board will adjourn into closed session at this time. (12:19), we are reconvening from closed session, and I believe we have an action item from our closed session. Ms. Pearson?
We do. I move to authorize the superintendent or there is a need to collaborate with an agent regarding the Woodway Trailway in Fort Worth, the 27th Street property in Amarillo, and to consider lease options for the Pasadena campus.
We have the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens. We'll take a vote. Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion carries. And it looks like next public comment again. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Okay, so we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It's 12:20. Our upcoming events, we do have a virtual board meeting on May 15th at 10 a.m. And then, of course, our annual board meeting is coming up in June. Is there anything else before we formally adjourn?
Yes, I do want to also, if you're interested, board members, in attending a local graduation, then meaning in your city, please let Jennifer know so that we can get your regalia to you if you're in need of that. I will have her send the dates out to you after this meeting. Jennifer, if you would send that out, Dr. Gibbons has that information. And we can, if you're interested, just let Jennifer know. So as we prepare the board programs, I mean the graduation programs, we can get you listed in there.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all for your time. Have a good spring, and we'll see you in May. It's 12:22, and meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I'll send a closed session, Mr.